So here we are at Appomondia. We have a lot of cool things to see. Let's go. We went to a speaker from the United Arab Emirates talking about raising bees and harvesting honey in the desert. And then following him was a woman from Thailand, and she confirmed his initial findings that the quality of the honey and the volume of the honey actually increases with hotter conditions and drier conditions. And to me, that was particularly interesting because one thing that we've seen in Texas this year is in August, which is typically a time when we don't produce much honey. We've seen record amounts of honey being produced from our own hives in Central Texas this summer, and I couldn't explain it. I don't know, we weren't changing anything, but the pollen profile did change quite a bit. The bees were harvesting from plants that were better adapted to high heat environments. And so that's one silver lining in an otherwise somewhat gloomy outlook for the future of food production in general. So this is Appa Expo at Appomondia. It's kind of like the eye candy version of Appomondia because you go in there, you see all kinds of cool equipment, talk to people that are engaged in like cool testing of honey and see new types of bee suits. And you also see the various honey awards and different things that are going on. I was very tempted to bring some of my honey, some various honeys from different hives to bring them here, but they sent us a letter saying that you had to pre-register through some special visa to get them into the country, which is unfortunate, but maybe the next time we'll get that done. But anyway, Appa Expo, a lot of fun. Let's go check it out.
We are testing for antibiotic residues, so drug residues in honey samples. And also we do quality testing with our RX Masano. So for that we do glucose fructose analysis, HMF analysis, and diastase for testing for adulteration in honey as well. So this is the sample preparation. So for AM1 Ultra and AM2, it is the same sample prep. So it's convenient to run both tests sort of concurrently. Sample preparation, you weigh out 1 gram of honey and then you add diluted wash buffer. So we have a wash buffer concentrate which comes in the test kit. So you just prepare that by mixing with deionized water, and then 19 mils of that is added to your honey to dissolve it, and then that's added to your biotip for analysis, and then the rest is how it gets incubated with its reagents, and then it's imaged on the evidence investigator.
So tell me a little bit about your suits, like what makes them different from other bee suits?
Well, we are one of the biggest producer in Pakistan. Pakistan is very good for textile, it's very popular. Like you are from United States, you know that all of your linen and bedding and towels are from Pakistan.
Right.
So basically the cotton is the same from Pakistan. We have a lot of availability of raw materials. So we are competitive than the other countries to produce the product from cotton. And we are also one of the highest producers in Asia for the leather.
Okay.
So the leather gloves, everything sourced within Pakistan, so we are competitive.
What is the difference? So I wear that kind of suit right there.
So this is a 3-layer ventilation, and then this is a single layer, but it's also ventilation. It's made with the foam mesh, and this is a combination of polyester, latex, and again polyester combination.
Okay.
And then you have the normal cotton suits. It's come in different colors.
So what are the costs for adults buying, say, 100 suits in this right here? If we were to get a group of honey companies together and buy, say, 500 suits, like what would it be, 100 suits and 500 suits?
But for example, if you need over 500 pieces, the price is starting from $30 to $35.
Okay.
And this depends on, you need a customized logo, you need YKK, you need the brass zipper, so you can make it.
Okay.
Like you need a round wheel or hood wheel.
Okay.
Our zippers are from the YKK, you know YKK?
Yeah.
The YKK is the Louis Vuitton of zipper.
That's right. That's right.
So it's very durable because you spend a lot of money on the suit.
Yeah.
And the very, very important element of the suit is the zipper. So if the zipper has a broken, the suit is gone.
Right.
So that's why we pay high attention on the quality of the zipper. And our mesh is also very, very strong.
Yeah, I can see that.
You
That's very.
cannot.
Yeah.
It's strong one. So that's make us difference. We are oldest company. We win the presidential award in the country. Like this is the president of Pakistan. We are the best export company. So
What is your production time like?
we
We would
produce every month around 10,000 bee suits.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely be in touch. I
Thank you
really
so
appreciate
much.
it. Thank
Is
you.
Fahim is the CEO of the company.
Hi, nice to meet you. So, for our viewers that don't really know what cream honey is,
Yeah.
can you explain why someone would want a honey creaming machine and what is cream honey?
So right now, the traditional way of creaming honey is through the dice method, which is a process where you incorporate crystals into your honey and you will mix for an indefinite amount of time until it all sets up. Right now with our machine, we can speed up that process up to 90% and have a really nice and smoother taste, and not making it with crystal honey, but with liquid honey, which will add a lot of value to the stableness of the product. Now you can see that in the cream honey, there's no crystals forming, it's very smooth.
Nice. So let's see what this tastes like. It's smooth like butter.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very, very nice.
So that's the main characteristic of our creamers. We've been using it over in our factory for over 40 years in Canada. The smaller unit will process 200 kilos of finished product every hour because our machine is working in 2 passes. So we'll have the first pass where we can mix it with our prior cream honey, which is seed eventually. We're going to process it through the machine. We're going to send it to the refrigerator 24 hours. Next day, we're going to bring it back and reprocess it. But this time it's going to be in a continuous flow. And that's where we're going to get all the whiteness of the product and the stableness. We're going to jar the honey in the same day or the next day, and we're going to store it 24 hours in the same refrigerator, 4 degrees Celsius, very important.
Yeah.
And after that, it's ready to hit the store shelves.
So we are at the Beekeeping in Chile booth, and we have this wonderful map here that shows all the different types and flavors of honey all up and down Chile. And so your name is Marcela. This is Marcela, and she is a beekeeper herself with some fabulous tattoos. And she has beekeeping tattoos, which I always think are very cool. But anyway, she's going to give us a run through of the flavors of Chile, and the honeys of Chile, and tell us all about it. It's going to be in Spanish. So here we go.
Hi everyone, welcome to Chile. And now I'm gonna speak Spanish, sorry. Este es nuestro país, largo, angosto y con mucha variedad de floraciones. En la zona norte nos encontramos con el desierto de Atacama, que floraciones muy particulares, típicos de la zona norte y su clima muy templado. Si nos acercamos al centro, encontramos variedades de floraciones tanto endémicas de nuestro país como el quillay, el ulmo, variedades multiflorales y otras muy características como el rábano, el algarrobo, entre otras variedades. Si nos acercamos hacia el sur, nos encontramos con climas más fríos y eso nos permite, por ejemplo, tener mieles organolépticamente más sensibles, más claras, con tonalidades muy peculiares. Nos encontramos con tiaquetineo y podemos finalizar en la zona austral con floraciones típicas cordilleranas en mieles muy características de nuestro país. Bienvenidos sean a Chile.
So we are here in Santiago after day one of Apamondia. It was an outstanding day. We heard a lot of great lectures, and we're here with one of the lecturers, Farhad Ozturk of UT San Antonio, who gave a fascinating talk about bioactivity of honey, Texas honey in particular, in relation to potential for curing certain diseases. So tell us a little bit about your research and specifically your use of Texas honeys.
Thanks so much for the opportunity, first of all. And what I'm doing in my research is we have collected 110 samples from different regions of Texas. And then we analyze them for their bioactivity potential. So basically it's about antimicrobial and antioxidant properties. So, and these are the values that makes a honey to become medical grade. And then in terms of antioxidant, like we looked for the total phenol contents, flavonoid contents, FRAP, and as well as DPPH. And for antimicrobial, we use the Staph aureus as our bacteria, which causes most of the nosocomial infections, like hospital infections. And then we analyzed if the Texan honeys can make a clear zone of inhibition to prevent their growth. And we also look for conformity analysis, such as pH, moisture, and color of them as well.
So in your talk, I heard you say that infections were the number 3 cause of death in the United States.
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Nosocomial infections are the number 3 cause of death after heart disease and cancer. And it is like these are the infections that has got in the hospitals. So it can be after a surgery, it can be after a catheter implant or urinary tract. So and then eventually this can cause severe infections which cannot be treated with conventional antibiotics, and eventually this can cause sepsis, which is infection in the blood, and may cause multiple organ failure and death of the people. So as the bacteria are getting more and more resistant because of the misuse of the antibiotics, so these hospital infections are getting very hard to treat.
Right.
And that's why hospital infections are expected by the World Health Organization by 2050 as number 1 killer in the world, expecting to kill 10 million people per year.
So when people use honey for treating infections, how is it applied? I have an idea, but I want to hear from you. Is it topical? Is it just eating it consistently over time?
I mean, depending on the location of the infection, that's very important. Like for example, if it is an ulcer, like it's an Helicobacter pylori infection, so we have to consume honey for the empty stomach. But if it is a skin infection, like especially after a wound, so we need to apply the honey directly onto the wound, depending on the depth of the wound.
Okay.
So sometimes you may simply smear it on the wound if it is a superficial one, but if it is a deep wound, like an ulcerative wound of the like diabetes or other diseases, so you need to pour the honey into the area and you need to apply gauze pad to make sure that honey can expose all the tissue there, so it can start killing the bacteria wherever it touches or it's contacted.
So I know that my wife one time had a 3rd-degree burn on her arm, and she took honey on a gauze pad, and I think maybe she put some water or something on it and put it on, and by the time it had healed, first of all, it healed much faster than it would have without the honey, and then second of all, it left almost no scar.
Yeah, it's very common for the honey, to increase or accelerate the recovery or healing because of the constituents. Like when you said she put the honey there directly, so what honey does is it's a hygroscopic material, so it will absorb the water from our lymph system. So by this way, honey, as soon as the water is absorbed, the glucose oxidase enzyme inside the honey, it will start converting glucose and water into gluconic acid and hydrogen peroxide. And this hydrogen peroxide is an antimicrobial agent. And also honey's antioxidant properties, which is coming from the phenolic acids and flavonoids inside the honey. So they will establish the fibroblast growth, so the wound will heal faster. And then also it will provide the, it will regulate the inflammation, and it will also increase the growth and proliferation of the fibroblast cells.
Right.
And the nice thing is when the epithelialization, the final level starts, so the honey is controlling them very nicely, that the scar tissue will not form there, which is around the the wound area. And it's very common that honey doesn't leave any scar tissue back when it heals the wounds, either the burn wounds or the other wounds.
Yeah, I was really amazed when my wife used the honey, because being a beekeeper, I'd heard all about that, but I'd never seen it in such a dramatic example as when my wife used it, and it was just like, I couldn't believe it. There was no scar at all.
Yep.
And it's fascinating.
And honey has been used in the war combat zones a lot, especially during the World War II. So honey has been used by the Russian army, so a lot. And then also most of the nurses, they have honeys for the wounded soldiers as well. And now it's becoming more and more common in the U.S. as well as around the world. Honey is becoming one of the major wound healing agents in the gauze pads or in the dressings or in the foams. So they're applied directly to the wounds in so many cases.
So I know where I live in Round Rock. At one point, I guess, I don't know, 8 to 10 years ago, there was a request on the part of a drug maker that supplied products and medicinal grade honey to the hospital to provide them with honey. And I wasn't real clear on what makes a medical grade honey medical grade. So what is that?
I mean, medical grade honey has like several regulations actually. So first of all, in the United States, there are very, very limited number of honeys that has been approved to be used in the medicine. And that one is the Manuka honey. In 2008, Manuka honey was approved as the medical grade honey.
And Manuka honey comes only from
New Zealand,
from
the lepidosperm, the tea tree.
Right.
So it comes from those. It's very limited number, and because of that, unfortunately, it's adulterated a lot. Because there is a famous joke that Manuka honey is produced 10,000 tons, but sold 100,000 tons in the world.
Right.
So that's so Manuka honey was approved by FDA in 2008, and after that, I didn't see other honeys has been approved. So whomever wants to use honey for medicine, they have to use Manuka honey. But other than that, in Europe, there are some other companies, other like wound management devices has been developed by using other honeys.
Yeah.
And they add some other like vitamins or lanolin or other components into those to be able to patent them. But the overall medical grade honey has it should be free of contaminants, and it should be like free of any debris from the honey bees, and it should be stored properly, not heat exposed, and it should not be harvested before the sealing. And also, it should have biological properties. So these biological properties are the ones, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory properties that they need to provide.
I love this because, like, I've always wondered this because whenever that hospital asked me, can you provide honey? And I said, well, sure I can, but I don't know what standard you want to meet. And they said, oh, well, is it raw honey? I said, yeah, it's absolutely raw. You can even come with me out to the hive and we'll harvest it together. And so I knew that the honey had to be capped. It could not be honeydew. It had to be honey.
Yes. It should not be nectar. Honeydew is basically there are honeydew honey and nectar honey.
Right.
So both of them can be converted into full honey.
Right.
But it has to be capped because otherwise it can get fermented and can cause sometimes, I don't say it causes harms, but it loses its beneficial activity.
And so for our viewers, can you explain what the difference is between nectar honey and honeydew honey?
Sure. Honeybees collect the sugar content from two different resources. So one of them is the honeydew, which is basically the excretion of some of the aphids or some other insects. And then, so what they do is those insects, they feed on the sap of the trees. And then once they feed, so because of the osmotic pressure, they cannot digest all the sugar that they get from the tree. And then they excrete them, which is pretty much sterile. And then the honeybees collect those excretions and then convert them into honey in their hives. So these are honeydew honeys. And most of the time, honeydew honeys are darker in color and they have more minerals and ash material inside it. And their pH is they're more acidic than the others. And the other one is nectar honey. This is basically from the floral honeys. So these are the bees go and collect the nectar from the flowers in spring or sometimes in summer or also in fall. So depending on the season, and they convert the nectar from these flowers into honey through the chemical processes that they go through.
So just so that I can summarize it right. So one, like an aphid or something like that is eating nectar or tree sap, and it excretes it out, and then the bee collects that. And then in the other case, it's basically blossom honey.
Yes, it's the blossom honey. That's right.
Okay, cool. So you had said that hospitalizations related to infections are going up. Why do you think that is?
I mean, the hospital infections are getting increased because these are mostly caused by the resistant bacteria.
Okay.
So basically, antimicrobial resistance is because of the misuse of the antibiotics, the bacteria they activated their resistance genes, and they were able to, not they will survive the antibiotics that we have in the market right now. So basically, in like about 1900s, when the Alexander Fleming they discovered the penicillin, and then that penicillin was a game changer because we started to kill the bacteria by using the antibiotics, and then several different antibiotics has been developed. But eventually, bacteria has kind of learned how to combat with the antibiotics, and then they started to have resistance. And once they have the resistance, now the infections are coming back. So normally it was a miraculous thing when we have the antibiotics because people stop dying from the infections. But now hospital infections, which are caused because of antimicrobial resistance bacteria, so it is getting much and much harder to treat them.
Right.
So on the other hand, honey is out there that has been used for infections for thousands of years, but none of the bacteria has gained any resistance to the honey. So honey can attack the bacteria from different directions or from different zones. So not only attacking the DNA, also the cell wall, as well as the the pumps and all those things. So honey can combat with the bacteria from different from different perspectives or from different aspects. So by this way, bacteria cannot resist the honey. And interestingly enough, honey has been used for this long, and even like it's been the last 30 years it's been used, and there is no resistance to honey has been recorded yet.
So if bacteria were like the supervillain and honey were the superhero, in this case, in this scenario, the superhero wins every time.
The sweetness will win.
That's right. That's right. That's a good analogy. The sweet wins. Well, I've been doing this for a long time, more than 20 years, and I learned something today, which is why we attend Appomondia. We like coming. We always learn something, and I want to really thank you for spending some time talking with us here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
It's my pleasure.
Alrighty.